Alrighty, I am live here on Substack. Let me get this opened up so I can see what it looks like and see if there's any comments. Let me make sure I'm available. It should be live. Let's see. Okay, nice. Make sure everything is of good sound. Test, test, test. Okay. So this whole idea of creating content via live streaming is something I really enjoy. And I've been trying to get myself to be more and more comfortable on stream. I am not comfortable on live streams. I can tell you that much right now. However, I think that by practice makes perfect, and no one's even here right now. And so I'm going to keep talking because I can turn this into a clip, I can turn this into video, or I can just pretend I'm talking to somebody and someone will eventually come in. I can talk to them. I want to make more content. I have so many ideas. And I think that if I could just start live streaming, I could start batching them a lot more. Because what if I just sit here and record it for 2 hours, and then within there, I've made a whole series that I can then publish at a later date. And then if the one person who wants to see all of it at once can just watch the live stream. Because those people are few and far in between. Those are probably your 1,000 super fans, if you will. And so they are worth also just talking to in general. Like if you have 1,000 super fans, and those are the type of people that would watch your live stream or go back and actually watch the recording of it because they want to watch all the episodes ahead of time, that is the kind of person that I would also just coach for free. Like I would literally just give you information for free. So I'm making this live stream actually because I'm thinking that when I'm ready to do a paid portion of the Substack, I would do a weekly, or maybe even like more often than that if I get enough people, but a live stream every week coaching different creators. I love teaching, I love coaching, and doing it one-on-one is fine, and I could probably charge a lot more for it, but I think that it'd be more fun if I could answer multiple questions at once, and so if I have a lot of people coming in here. So here's what I'm going to do for this live stream to make it more interesting for you. I'm going to give you a kind of heads up on the kind of content I'm going to be making. So I don't think I can share my screen particularly right now, can I? Yeah, I can, but I can't. So let me see. Let's go back to Facecam. I think it's because I'm trying to share a window and not a desktop. So I like the animations though, Mel. Thank you. So this idea of just imagine my obsidian over here, essentially. The first and foremost, the content I'm going to be making going forward, in fact, I have it open right now to make, is about content formats and content types. I've already made videos about it, I've already talked about it, but I haven't talked about it on the Substack, and I particularly wanted to make a more condensed version of it, which is what I did in this most recent video. Now, I have been getting to the point where I have been a bit talking fast and putting a lot of information in at a short time scale window. And I think that I mess up a little bit more. I might trip over my words a little bit. I might talk a little bit too fast, right? But I think that that is a benefit. I think that's going to be, because I like to speed up my videos. And I know a lot of people have got into the habit of that, especially people who are neurodivergent. I just wanted to be able to learn faster. And now at this point, I'm so used to it. I trained myself to be so used to sped up videos, sped up audiobooks, sped up podcasts, that I don't like watching videos that are too slow. And if I were to talk at a normal pace, this would be better for, I think, a lot of people. But if you're just trying to get information down and you don't want to spend 20 minutes learning about something you probably already know a lot about, like content formats and content types, then I think it's too slow. And I think that that particular episode that I'm going to be releasing today is going to be interesting. I do need to share this. I just realized that is why I'm not getting anybody, because I haven't shared it yet. So I'm going to share this. I'm going to share it to Facebook, I guess. No, I don't know. And then share it to Twitter. So I made that content formats and content video, or content types video, because I thought it would be useful for different creators to understand at different levels. So some people are going to be beginners and some people are going to be advanced, I guess you could say, because I have to kind of account for all of those types of people with my content. I don't necessarily want to niche down just to beginners, because I don't think it's just for beginners. My content has a lot of ideas that even advanced people don't always think about. I know somebody who has 200, 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, and yet when you look at that person's organization of content creation, or the limited scope of what they're actually creating, just videos, maybe a little bit of shorts, no audio, no written, barely any syndication across different platforms, that is an advanced creator because they're huge on YouTube, but they don't necessarily have that omnipresence they really should have, the omni-channel. Whoever is viewing right now, I appreciate you. Come on and leave a comment if you want to have a question or something like that. So that is why I created the content formats and content types video that's going out later today or tomorrow. And I wanted someone who's advanced to also understand, even if you're good at one thing like Substack or YouTube or podcasting, that you should be making all three, and you should find out a way to make all three. You don't even have to start off making a podcast. You could just cut the audio from your videos and make it into a podcast. You can, if you're a newsletter person and you do YouTube, right? You have two of them already. You can take your newsletter, use a text-to-speech tool, an AI tool, and turn it into a podcast. Beyond Words is pretty good at that. Play.ht is pretty good at that. And then even, of course, the well-known 11 Labs. But I think the cost ratio could be the determining factor between each one of those three tools. So that is that next video going out. It's basic, but I wanted to get it out first. And then the next one is a mini-series kind of course thing that I wanted to make, because I had already made a mini-series in bulk, if you will. So I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream that I wanted to maybe use these live streams as a way to batch record many different episodes, and that way I can schedule things out ahead of time. And I had done this late last year, where I made that How to Be a Modern Content Creator mini-series. And I made about 14 episodes. I think they're really helpful. They go into the content types, the content formats, each individually. They talk about how to maximize the different platforms. And I think it's a series that people kind of slept on, because I was a small creator. And so I want to make a kind of, not make a post, but just a really helpful condensed post with each of the videos in there, and perhaps a newly written section for each one, and just kind of explaining the different philosophy over again. And this will be kind of like a little mini course on Substack with links to all the videos, and I would also probably record a new video going all over it again as well. And then probably not next after this, I probably would wait for a while, but I have a mini series that I want to make, and this is probably what I would batch record going forward, and that's a mini series about the creator equation. The creator equation is what I came up with to help creators of all sizes. In fact, it's probably most useful for the bigger creators to accelerate their growth and reach a higher level. So I talk about the creator equation as you have strategy plus automation times execution equals success. Once you have that equation figured out, that is what's going to make you grow and accelerate your growth. So I had a strategy when I first started out. When I first started making content, I was probably way over prepared. I had learned way too much, and I had a lot of knowledge, not enough experience and practice to actually put that knowledge into my work and my execution. So I found myself having a great strategy, and even having some organizational tools like ClickUp and Notion and even Google Sheets and Airtable to help me plan out my content pretty well. I did not execute enough because I didn't have the experience. It took a lot to make even an Instagram post, let alone a video or a podcast. And welcome in. And so whenever I started out, I had that strategy, but I didn't necessarily have the automation tools to help me get that micro content or to reach the omnipresence that I was talking about earlier. And I also, since I was new to it, didn't have enough reps of experience to actually have the ability to execute at a higher level. Once you put in those 100 reps over the course of time, then you're able to actually have that experience. Once you put in 100 reps, you kind of know what you do right, what you do wrong. I learned after 100 videos that I don't like scripting. I like to go off the cuff. I make better videos that way. Those are lessons you don't learn until you have done 100, 200, 300 reps. And so that is the idea behind the execution part. Once you have the experience, you can execute actually a lot faster and a lot more often in batching. Saranya, do you have any questions, by the way? I'm talking about content creation, and I'm going over the future videos that I'm going to be creating. And so I talked about content formats, content types, how to be a modern content creator, the creator equation that I created, and there's a lot of creates in that sentence. But this is kind of like a pseudo coaching call, because I wanted to be able to create content where I can help people. I'm going to open this up. Hopefully it's not too loud. I just really like talking about content, and I figured if I'm going to be getting better at live streams I should put into practice. And so that's what today is about. It's just getting more comfortable on Substack and more importantly on live streaming. I actually, right before this, decided I wanted to relax a little bit. I'm going to go play Xbox for a hot minute. And I played a little bit longer than I expected because I actually live streamed to Twitch. Xbox has it built into it, and I was like, okay, let's just take advantage of this. I'm going to be playing this anyways. I might as well be recording content. Let's hook up a microphone and start talking. I'm not talking as much as I am now, but it was interesting. And that way I have something going to my Twitch channel better than nothing, really. So the creator equation is the next mini series that I want to make. After that, I have some unique posts that I think would be helpful. So something about batch, bulk, creating, and scheduling. That's a kind of combination topic that I think a lot of people just don't really think about as much. Bulk creating is something people talk about, like batching. And so I talked about making a mini series, record the whole mini series ahead of time, then you can post it out over time. Cool, batching is kind of well known. But bulk scheduling is a whole nother factor. And ever since like 2012, I've been trying to find a social media management platform that could do one of two things. If both, that'd be great. The first one was RSS to social, and that was like anytime I make a new blog post, let's have an automation go out saying here's a link to that blog post. Many tools can do that, especially like Zapier now. Obviously, that's a big thing, but this is like back in 2012, 2013, there was really no tools that could do it. And even back then, there was tools like Hootsuite and some other social media management platforms. They weren't automatic. You still had to go in there and add the post to it, and Hootsuite's also garbage now at this point. And so this idea of automations from YouTube videos or podcasts, let alone RSS. And there is RSS for podcasts, but I'd rather just have my podcast platform send it out. And then the more important automation that I really needed was bulk scheduling short form videos, TikTok, Shorts, and Reels. I didn't care so much about other platforms as much, but TikTok, Shorts, and Reels, that's what I cared about. So if I only could do 3, that's fine. I would rather do 4 or 5. I would rather do Pinterest and then both Instagram and Facebook Reels. Now I also do LinkedIn and Blue Sky. And so having a wide variety of platforms is really great. Pinterest actually did really well for me for a while. So bulk scheduling short form videos is actually a really rare feature, and there's only a few tools that can actually do it. And the tool I use to make my clips, Opus Clip, now has sort of a bulk feature. It's not quite good there yet, but that's cool that they have it. Recurpost was one of the first ones that I kind of started using. Actually, before that, I used Publer. Both of them had their issues, though. Like, Recurpost didn't break very much, but the interface wasn't as great. The team is very helpful and very responsive. Publer, however, broke almost every single time I tried to freaking use it, and the team was not as helpful. I've talked to the CEO about it, and he's like, this is what we're known for. Well, obviously not, because I had a lot of issues with it, and you guys didn't help. And so Publer was the only tool that could do like a multi-upload, which was what I needed to have, because I had like a couple thousand clips from all my different podcast episodes that I had made. I had repurposed all these episodes, post, a couple years after doing it, actually a few years after doing it. And so I had tons of episodes that I needed to market, and then I had all these clips, and I had no way of getting them out. Now, the tool I use, and I've talked about it before, is Newlink, Nuelink, because Newlink is so freaking phenomenal. In fact, I just remembered I should put an affiliate link on my Substack for people to actually go check out. Opus Clip and Newlink and maybe something else, because that is a tool I use almost every day, and I have one written post going out to Twitter, Mastodon, Threads, Facebook and LinkedIn and Blue Sky every day. I think until the end of the month. But I had started scheduling them back in last October or something like that. And so I had like over 370 posts that I scheduled ahead of time that I put into this collection of written post platforms. And then once Blue Sky and Mastodon got added, I added those to that automation. And then nowadays I'm caught up on all my clips, but it took me a long time, like over a year, to fully schedule out the couple thousand clips I had. Now at this point, it's probably closer to 3,000 clips that I've made through Opus Clip, and like usable clips, mind you. And now I have like different interviews I do, or this particular video is going to be roughly probably 40 minutes long. That's going to generate another 20, 30 clips, and then I'm going to schedule those out. And I'm posting 8 to 10 times a day. It was really good for a while. I might decrease that. Instagram's been really iffy about it. They're not promoting me as much as they used to. I will share a lesson, though. I made one small change when I scheduled out my Instagram Reels, and that was to not post to the main feed. For some reason, that made a huge difference in my like distraction and loss of followers, because I kept losing followers almost quicker than I was gaining them when it came to posting to the main feed. Probably because there's a lot of people that I know locally that I grew up around. I had this Instagram account for a long time. They didn't care about my podcast. They didn't care about the clips. And so when I took it off the main feed, only posted to the Reels feed, it made it a lot easier for people to not be bombarded by all my updates. I was still pretty eager to post 10 times a day, 8 times a day, and it really worked out pretty well for a while on TikTok. Now TikTok's not responding very well, but I also don't care as much about TikTok. YouTube Shorts seems to be doing all right. I wish it did better, but maybe I can do more on the platform itself. And then Pinterest is kind of iffy still now too. But again, for a long while there, it was doing really well over the course of a year and a half. And so that feature, bulk scheduling, New Link has some of the best automations, and it has now bulk scheduling. I still do it individually posted now. I do like one post at a time because there's a couple features I need, like that whole checkbox of don't post in the main feed. It's not on the bulk feature yet because it's still in beta, but I've been talking to them about it and they'll fix it. Saranya, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free. This is kind of like a pseudo coaching call, if you will. I've been a content creator for over a decade when it comes to blogging, and better half of a decade when it comes to videos and podcasts. And so I love sharing knowledge, and that's why I wanted to do this live stream. So the next few posts, I have stuff about multi-streaming. I think multi-streaming is a need. It's a necessary thing for gaming creators, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years, but I've been mentioning it. I've been bringing it up because I think a lot of podcasters really need to start thinking about multi-streaming. I might even start recording my episodes live so that I can multi-stream. And then not only would the streams be on the platforms, but on top of that, I might be able to actually not have to edit the posts anymore, which has been one of my major issues. I hate editing, and it's one of the biggest slowdown factors for my content creation process. So that is something I might get really excited about because I really want to live stream more, and then I won't have to edit them, and then it's actually going to be on more platforms, not just YouTube and Spotify. And so at that point, it'll probably be on Facebook. It'll probably be on Substack. The Substack, though, is kind of interesting. Ooh, great tangent. Because I've had 4 or 5 publications on Substack over the years, and the current one is the only one I really have. I made a new one last night, but essentially I had a swimming one that was relatively successful. I wish I had kept it around. I basically copied it over to my main website when I should have just duplicated it. Like, right, I moved it over. I should have just copied. That's what I meant. And I think that if I just kept it on there, it would have given it a chance to grow on its own. All that work of putting it on there would have been good. Maybe I can actually go back and redo it. Pardon me. Because I do want to write a book. I have been writing a book for the past 5 years about how to swim and the philosophy and hydrodynamics of swimming. I think having an individualized website for that particular brand for me would be good. That's why I made it on Substack in the first place. And then I took it off, and I'm thinking maybe it'd be better for me to put it back on there and kind of restart that endeavor, because then it can have its own bubble. I wouldn't want to move my whole website over to Substack, but I have a lot of different small bubbles that I think would be really good to have their own Substacks. I pay $200 a year for Transistor.fm for my podcast hosting. I have 2 podcasts myself, one new one from Substack, this show that I do on here. And then I'm hosting a friend's podcast on there too, so that's nice. You can have a limited podcast. However, $200 a year is a bit expenditure when I'm not making as much money from content. I am making some, but not enough to really afford all the different platforms that I'm paying for, like website hosting too. I'm not going to move off of Ghost, but I did go from $36 a month down to $9 a month with a different host, so I'm making progress there. But my point was that I have 2 podcasts that are interview based that I think would actually benefit greatly if I just move them over to Substack, and then I'll start posting through there. Not only would it save me work when it comes to producing the episode, because I don't have to render the audio as a separate thing. I can just post it to Substack. It'll post a video. It'll copy that video over to YouTube if that automation works, which it hasn't been for me. But then it'll also take the audio out automatically for me, saving me a step. And then also, too, if I'm just live streaming, I won't even have to post the video to Substack. It'll just automatically be there. This video is going to make its own host, and I'm not even 100% sure how I'm going to make it into a blog post or how I'm going to actually release it. I don't think I'm going to email people about it. I didn't want to bug people with my experiments. Maybe I should, because I'm creating and documenting, if you will, just live right here for you all. But yeah, I digress. Thanks for listening to me ramble. So I have the creator equation stuff. I have the content formats things that's going out today. Creator equation might be a little bit down the line. I don't necessarily want to do that mini series just yet. Batch bulk and creating somewhere in the mid range of going out. Then I made a post about having a content ecosystem. Like, what is it? I have another one planned that's like building a content ecosystem, kind of like a sequel post, continuing that idea. The next one is actually the best tools for content creators, and considering that this brand, the Content Polymath, started out as the PolyTools channel, right? That's what it was about, the Polymath Toolkit. And that was an extension of my personal brand. It still is, but the Polymath Toolkit was this range of creator tools, and I made a whole directory website. Again, cost and maintenance made me take it down, but I have a whole database of tools that I'm going to probably at some point here soon release as a bonus for signing up onto the membership. I think that's going to be a great way to get people as a lead in. And I was going to do it for paid, but I think actually I might just put it on the free plan. Like, hey, when you sign up, you'll get an email for subscribing. In that email will be a link to that database. I think that's going to be better. I would rather give it away for free and then talk about it to people later on. Something that a website called Tribe Tactics, now it's called Chopcast, a repurposing service and tool. They talk about creating episodic content. There's even a book by the CEO, the founder, Kareem Mustafa. He's a really cool guy. He made a really interesting book, and I interviewed him on one of my shows way a while back. And he talked about making episodic content, like making your own Netflix. And I think that's still a really an amazing topic, and that's why I have it on here to actually go into. Because creating episodic content for personal branding. That's the title of the episode. And what's really interesting about that is that when you have a series, when you have something that people can expect, they're more likely to come back and watch it. That's why I like making mini-series, because I'm not going to make the same topic over the course of years. But I'm going to talk about content. I'm going to talk about the same niche. I'm just not going to talk about the same subtopics of that niche for an extended period of time. But if I can make mini-series that becomes episodic, at least for a time, and it brings people back to really kind of watch it. Then you can also take those episodes and make a combined post with every episode in it, like I'm going to do with the How to Be a Modern Content Creator series, and you get multiple posts out of that. It also makes it a lot easier to repurpose down the line as well. So another topic that I have down the line here, I'm just kind of going through, I'm not going through each one, I'm not going to give away everything I'm going to be making, but I really like sharing this stuff, and I want to tell people why you should subscribe to the Content Polymath, because there's a lot of really great topics coming up. And the next one is the first 100 reps to 100 posts a day. Those are two different philosophies that I have learned over the years from different creators. The first 100 reps is something like Roberto Blake and Harris Heller and Big E and even Gary Vee in some ways have talked about. And then the 100 reps a day, 100 posts a day, is something that Gary Vee talked about. And everyone who heard that's like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, how am I going to do that? In reality, it's not that crazy. However, I don't think you can just start out doing it. Not only do you not know the tools, do you not know the strategies, and you don't have the ability to execute, which is one thing I was mentioning at the beginning of the episode, or live stream, where you have the need to learn what you do right, what you do wrong, what you enjoy to do when creating, what you need to know as a creator. Right now I'm using hand gestures. I'm trying to keep it within the view frame. So when I am doing this a lot, but if I do this, it's a lot more effective, because when I repurpose this later, the actual frame of the video is going to be cut off. So if my hands are out here, it's not going to be helpful for anybody on TikTok or Reels. These are just keeping it in this range is something I learned as a video creator. Me looking at the camera right now is another skill. I do this now even when I'm having meetings. Like, I'll just go on a Zoom call with somebody, and I could look at them right now, but I'd rather look at the camera, because that way I'm actually looking at you or looking at the speaker. It makes the person on the other end feel a lot better. And it definitely makes videos a lot more effective. So these are skills that I learned from doing hundreds of reps, and you can learn them a lot sooner, especially if you watch videos like mine or other big creators talk about that kind of stuff. Putting it into practice is a whole nother story. That's why putting 100 reps first, video, audio, and written, short, live, and long, the more reps you put in, the quicker you acquire those skills, and then you're actually able to use those skills more often and remember to use those skills more often. So that is part of the execution aspect. The strategy also formulates after doing those many reps. And so this idea of actually putting 100 reps in is actually just the start. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. It's just the start. It's not until you get to 200 or 300 where you actually kind of implement those skills a lot more often, and the overall quality of your content increases because of that. And so the 100 reps is the experience baseline. And then the 100 posts a day is kind of like a goal. It's not a top of the line, end of the goal kind of thing. It is a goal, but it's not the end goal. The end goal is getting people to talk about your content and see your content, interact with it, and that kind of thing, and actually convert. But the goal for you as a content creator is to make 100 posts a day. Let's say, here's an example. I make this live stream. Within this live stream, I plan out 3 video recordings that I want to do. And even the one I'm talking about right now could actually make for a really interesting video. I might actually take this live stream, put it into Opus, make some mid-form clips, and post those as individual videos too. Just thinking about it. But if I were to do this properly, I would have planned out the videos ahead of time. Here's 3 videos, 3 bullet points each. Each one of those bullet points probably also would make a clip down the line too. If I wanted to manually do it, it'll also probably be found by automated tools too. And then with the whole live stream, I make clips. You have 3 YouTube videos, which in turn, if I take the Substack strategy, I take those videos, put it onto Substack, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's 3 different posts on Substack. It becomes 3 different YouTube videos as well. That's already 6. It becomes 3 podcast episodes across Spotify and Apple. Now, I'm going to count the podcast episodes as just 1 post each instead of counting it per platform. Because if you would do that, that's Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. That's a whole another 3 right there if you wanted to do it that way. Depends on how you want to count it. And then, so let's see, that's 9 right there. And then from that hour-long live stream, or however long it takes you, you're probably going to get 30 clips. Those 30 clips now go on TikTok. They go on YouTube. They go on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and then LinkedIn. You could also do Blue Sky, but let's just say no Blue Sky. That's 5 platforms times 30. Let's see, quick math. 150, right? That's already 150 posts right there. That's 30 clips across 5 different platforms. I am counting those because they're different social platforms. Spotify and Apple not as, it's still just podcasts. Again, depending on how do you count it. That's already 150 posts right there. Even if you have half that, that's 75 posts plus the 9 posts already. And so depending on how picky you are with clips. I'm generally kind of mildly picky, not too crazy. So I might get 22 out of it. And then on top of that, you have quote images from the blog posts themselves. Let's say just 1 each. You post that to Instagram, Facebook, maybe LinkedIn, and then Pinterest. 4 posts across 3 different platforms. Or 3 different posts, I mean. That's 12. So already you're at 99 if you're not even counting the extra clips. So my point is, just by repurposing the same content and planning it out, having that strategy ahead of time, having the automation tools like New Link that syndicates it for you, like Opus Clip that creates the clips for you, and also knowing how to go ahead and do it by putting in the reps in the first place and know what these platforms actually like. That is what I mean by having that creator equation, the strategy, the automation, the execution. And so that's how you get to 100 posts a day. Even right now, I'm not quite doing 100 posts a day. I'm doing 1 written post a day across multiple different platforms. Let's say 8, I think. So Threads and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and Mastodon and Blue Sky. And so I'm posting at least once on all those different platforms every day. I've been doing clips pretty often, so I'm doing about 10 clips a day across those 5 different platforms. And then I've also been posting here and there. I've actually been very manually active on Threads, trying to be active on Substack. And so even though I'm not getting 100 posts a day, I'm getting at least half that. And that's just from purely using it. I'm not trying to be 100 posts right now. I'm trying to get really better at my skills. I'm not good at live streams, and so I want to get better at it. And so that's what I'm more focused on right now. But that's what that post is about. That basically explains the entire post just right there, but I'm going to make it in more detail later on. Probably maybe some graphs too. Let's see. What else do we got? The multi-streaming for podcasters, because again, that is not something no one ever talks about it. I have an idea for a pseudo mini series, maybe like a quarterly series, probably yearly would be better, but it's like a platforms analysis video. And that's going to talk about the podcasting platforms, so Spotify, Apple, Amazon. The next one will be Substack Notes, Blue Sky, Threads, Mastodon, Twitter. The next one being TikTok Shorts and Reels. The next one being YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. So it's kind of like live streaming, but really a video. And so that, I don't know how I want to formulate that particular series, but it's an idea. And then future content creation, the omni-channel CMS, multi-streaming, 100 pieces a day. Yeah, a couple SQL posts are out there. So I already have a ton of ideas, and I haven't planned out. I'm trying to figure out the order of what I want to get them out with, but right now I don't have a plugin on my Obsidian Vault to sort things around. So that's really it for so far for the series. I have a lot more posts that I didn't mention on there, but nothing really that is important per se right now. And so I guess I can talk about what my strategy is going forward. As I mentioned before, Substack video doesn't always send over to YouTube, and the Substack support has not been there at all. I've reached out a couple times. I've reached out on Threads. I've reached out on Twitter. I've reached out, I think, even to someone on LinkedIn, and it's like their support is just non-existent, and these features are not working. That's one reason why I haven't moved my podcasts over yet, because not only is it a lot of work, I'm going to have to basically make a whole bunch of posts. And even if Substack imports all my episodes automatically with the RSS feed, those are only going to be theoretically audio posts. They technically need to be video posts because all my interviews are videos. All the non-interview episodes, all the solo casts, that would be good. But for the most part, they're all video. So I'm going to go back, add the videos to it, add the thumbnails to it probably too. And then I'm also going to be doing, depending on the show, I had the Content Creator Show and the Polymathic People Show. The Polymathic People Show is the more complicated one. That one I want to try to make an interesting blog post about it, where I'm talking about what is the mindset of this polymathic generalist person. I don't know how I would need to formulate that, but regardless, I'll have like an AI summary, I'll have the YouTube description with all the information, like timestamps and links and my own summary, and then beneath that, I'm going to have the transcript, and that way Google really likes those posts, but the beginning part's really good for humans, and it has a video, it has the audio, so it has it all in one. I actually used to do this back in the day with some of my podcasts on WordPress, because I could technically have different formats on there, and I really liked how I was able to do that on WordPress, but WordPress just kept breaking, so I had to leave it. But I had like basically different sections on my blog post that allowed me to have the video always here, the podcast always there, and that way, depending on how you wanted to consume the content, you could. And then the other show, the Content Creator Show, is actually probably going to be a lot easier for me to do, but I still want to make a blog post for every episode. And I probably will just copy the YouTube description, but I might also find a way to do an AI analysis summary thing too. That would be interesting. I don't want to use Riversides, because Riversides is pretty mediocre at best. But at the very least, had the video there. And then I'll have, between the two shows, 200 posts automatically made right there. I still have to go in there and edit them, but that's 200 posts now on Substack and people can see. Those posts are not on my website, which means I'll have more content out in the world, already just basically repurposed from my old endeavors. And then going forward, I mentioned earlier just the features making my life easier when it comes to cutting out the audio and then automatically posting to YouTube, it's that kind of thing, but also just saving costs. That is a huge deal, to save costs. And $200 a year is a lot for someone who's not making $200 for content each year. Sometimes I have made a lot of money from coaching. I have made some money from memberships, but I'm not making money off of revenue off AdSense kind of thing. Actually, affiliate marketing has made me some. So technically speaking, affiliate marketing has paid, I think, most of my content bills this year. But it's still slow. It's still not a whole lot. And while I think you need to diversify, it's just one of those things where it's going to take time. So if I can get the episodes over here, that might be worth it. But I need to make sure these features are actually worth that move, if that makes sense. Let's see, what is one final topic that we can talk about before I wrap this up? I guess live streams. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask. I wanted to make sure I'm answering anything. It's also good for prompting. It's also good for if I can help you as a content creator. You just never know. But live streaming in general is something, like I said, I just am not comfortable with. I think I'm getting better at it. I like recording video, but I tend to ramble a bit more on live streams than I even do on my regular videos, which I tend to ramble a lot. But I think that just by putting the practice in, putting in the reps, I've done roughly half a dozen live podcasts as a guest. Cool. I've done about half a dozen gaming live streams as well, including 2 that I've done this past week. One today, one a couple days ago. The other 4 were over the course of like 2 years. And then now this is like my 3rd live stream on Substack, I think. 4th. So I did 1 vertical, 1 horizontal, maybe 1 other horizontal. But either way, I'm only at 15 reps at this point. That's another math. 85 live streams that I need to get to before I'm actually decent at making content. I've been wanting to make content every day on Substack, and I don't want to bug the audience. I don't want you to sign up for the series and then get a whole bunch of notifications about going live. So I think I'm going to start going live every day and just not promoting it very much. Let it be kind of a little bit speakeasy, if you will. Like, you have to just know, and then people come in here to ask questions and stuff like that. So I had someone the other day kept prompting me, and I was able to make a great video just from what the person was talking about. And I think that's the beauty of live streams, because I could have 30-40 minutes planned out of the different topics I want to talk about, but if I had someone prompting, or other people like saying like, hey, what is this, or what do you think of this, what do you think of that tool, it'll get more content built. And for me, it's always just more and more content. That's what it is. So that's the plan. Maybe I'll go live every day. I've done it like horizontally or vertically, I mean, doing the app. And the app is kind of cool because then I can invite people in. For some reason on desktop, you can't invite people in yet, which is frustrating. I could maybe try to figure it out in a different way and just do it on my end, not on Substack's end. There is some tools that allow me to do that, like Video Ninja. But yeah, that's something I'll have to figure out. All right. Thank you, Saranya, for coming in, and thank you for other people who have watched over the course of it, and thanks for people who are watching the after stream or after posting. Cheers.